between Palestinians and Jews. I filed dozens of news reports from here, but not one of my stories matched what started in Bethlehem 2,000 years ago. The famous Christmas story comes from Luke's Gospel. He says Joseph and Mary arrived in Bethlehem exhausted by their long journey from Nazareth, but there was no room at the inn. In Matthew's Gospel, though, the story isn't even mentioned. Maybe there was no journey. Maybe they were already living in Bethlehem. Well, we know from church records that by the 2nd century, when Christianity was going strong, it was widely believed that Jesus was born in Bethlehem. This place, the Church of the Nativity, was built over the spot to mark it forever. But never mind what they believed back then. Where's the evidence? Well, the best is in the church itself, but it's not what we might expect. Excavations haven't found stables or an inn, but a 1st century network of caves or grottos directly under the church. Right under the main altar, there's a grotto the pilgrims head for first. This is the grotto under the Church of the Nativity. The tradition is that Jesus was born here, at the place marked by the star, and if you reach inside, you can feel what's supposed to be the exact spot. So, where's the wooden stable? Like thousands of people who come here every year, I felt a bit cheated it didn't look like the one on the Christmas cards. Could Jesus have really been born in a cave? I didn't have to travel far to find strong evidence that he probably was. This is Yatta, a Palestinian town. Although it's only 30 miles south of Bethlehem, it's way off the tourist trail. In the center is an old, abandoned village. 1st century villages looked very like this. What do we know about Bethlehem? Originally, it was built on a hill so villagers could see their enemies coming. Rooftops were used as living space during the hot weather. Records show that about 1,000 people would have lived in a place like this. And there were caves under the houses, like the caves under the church in Bethlehem, that they used as stables. The evidence, says the archaeologist Josias, is in Yatta itself.
We have a room here which was used during the winter for the animals. This, first of all, it did 2 things. It kept the house very, very warm, and again, in terms of safety, it was very good for the animals. Over here we have a place which is a manger. This is a place where they fed the animals, and you had to have some type of a separation now between the people who lived here and the animals. So the animals lived downstairs, and up here, upstairs, is this facility here which was used for people. During the winter it would have been very comfortable here, the animals giving heat below.
Did babies born 2,000 years ago really share house space with the animals? Yes, they did. We know because some babies in the Holy Land still do. Only 15 miles from Bethlehem, in a secluded valley, is this settlement called Imfadara. Here some of the West Bank's poorest Palestinians scratch a living from homes built around caves. I heard about this place a couple of years ago when the Israeli army tried to evict them. When I went into the caves, I saw an extraordinary time capsule of the nativity scene. The goats are kept at one end of the cave. They're feeding at the moment at the manger, but the caves aren't just used for storing animals. There's something else. At the other end are the living quarters, the kitchen and the sleeping area. The animals and the people live in the same place. Look at the way they live today, and you can understand why Mary might have had to lay Jesus in a manger. Perhaps the place reserved for the family upstairs was too crowded for a tiny baby. The Gospel of Luke, written in Greek, says that Jesus was laid in a manger because there was no room at the inn. But the original Greek word for inn, kataluma, is usually translated as upper room. So, if the upper room was full, a straw-filled manger might have been the next best place to put the baby.